This is a painting that I started a while ago. It is completely dry now. It's oil on canvas. I'm just going to put out some of the colors that I used before. It is a lot easier to blend with oil on wet paint. When you start trying to go onto dry canvas with wet paint, it just doesn't blend very well. So what I'm going to do here is just using the same colors before, I'm going to mix them up. But what we're doing here is we're adding dark and we're adding light. So this is a one brush, long, excellent for thin lines, holds onto paint brilliantly. Tapered, number 8. This one is great for sort of these wave shapes, you know, a point going into fat going into a point. And then this is just all-rounder. Number 4, it's good for mixing, it's good for adding color to larger areas, just a really good spreader, really. What I'm going to do now is just really get the brown back. Because it's already dried, like I mentioned, I'm just going to get as close to the color as before, block it in. This just gives me a nice surface that I can then add my dark or light. Now, you can use any dark or light. I mean, if you're using a blue boat, obviously use blue. If you're using a yellow boat, use yellow. But for this situation, I'm just, for simplicity, I'm going to use on this canvas white and black. Now, with black, you need to be careful because you don't want to mix it in too much. It really kills the color. White and black. Now, with black, you need to be careful because you don't want to mix it in too much. It really kills the color. White can as well, makes it quite pastel. If you're wanting to keep it kind of bold and clean, you want to keep your black fairly minimal, that you want shadow on. Any area that you want pure white, like this, you want to try and keep that to mostly a dry canvas, just purely because if you start putting white on top of a brown, for instance, you're just going to get a lighter color of brown. Keeping it crisp white or crisp black will just give you that pop. The painting was coming along nicely, it just was lacking something, and pretty much with sketches, with oil pastels, watercolor, oil paint, acrylic, it doesn't matter what you're using, if you just add some highlights and some lowlights, you're really just going to give that 3-dimension, you're going to make it a little bit more interesting. All this front area of water here is quite flat, but as I go on building it up, you're just going to see your eyeball fills in the differences. Same with the lines of the boat. We're not taking a photograph here, and even if we did take a photograph, your brain can only process a small amount of what you're looking at. So what I like to do is just hint at what there is. So we're hinting at line, we're hinting at boxed in shape, we're hinting at the shape of the waves, the windows. If you look really closely at most paintings, especially sort of Van Gogh or even like the Renaissance when they're doing bowls of fruit, there's brush strokes that close up are just blobs, but when you step away, your brain and your eyes fill in those gaps and you see the shine on a grape or you see the shine on the water. And I quite like that. I think it's really interesting to make the person viewing it do some of the work in a way. Seeing it as a finished piece when really zoomed in on it, it is abstract shapes. Now with this, I need to add a little bit more blue, a little bit more purple, a little bit more pink again. Same idea as the boat. It's easier to blend when you're working on the wet. Now, the reason I like working on a completely dry oil paint canvas is because I don't have to worry about making a mistake. Right now, if I look at this and decide that I have ruined it, all I need to do is get some solvent, paint thinner, terp substitute, clean brush, clean cloth. I could wipe all this off and I would be left with exactly what I started with. So there's really no pressure. It's really soothing. You know that working on top of dry oil, it's easy fix. But anyway, so I'm blocking in some of these colors again, just dotting them around, and then just going up against the edge of them with a darker color. In this instance, I'm going with dark Prussian blue, but that is again just to stop it from killing the color of the water. I don't want the black to be mixed in, making the water look gungy. I want there to be this light and this sharp area. Now with the eye, like I said, it can only see so much at a time. What works really well, especially with water, is just getting in some sort of neutral shades. So here it's sort of a lavender shade, and we're just sort of blocking that in, simplifying the edges, just bringing it across, and again your eye glances at it and you see the flat surface. Adding in another brush now just because it's a bit wider. The other 3 I used are brilliant, but if you're going to work with a larger area and if you want to blend it, obviously bigger the area, bigger the brush. But also bigger the brush, the less control. But this is just perfect for just going into those detailed points The bits where I've added some of these sort of other colors of light and shadow, just blending them in, just neatening it up, it just gives the painting a little bit more of a pop and a little bit more of a professional, although I don't really like using that word because it's kind of a bogus word because there's really no such thing. Really, art school teaches you not to cry when people are mean about your work, which is very useful. I am not slagging that off, but ultimately all of the tuition at art school is about being financially viable, how to go along with a customer's brief, business side of things, the actual technique of art, we kind of are expected to know already. I guess it's the same with like other subjects, English, etc. They don't teach you how to be a writer, they just teach you techniques to market your writing. So art school is very similar. It is really just a mechanism to thicken your skin and to know what someone wants when they ask you for something and they might not necessarily know what they want themselves. Now I'm just blocking in a little bit more brown. Obviously it's a wee bit choppy, the water in this scene, so we don't want it to be a perfect reflection. Again, with the hinting, we're just giving you the subtle idea that this boat is sitting on this water and this boat has a reflection, so it has a presence against the waves. Find with reflections actually that quite often you don't, even on still water, you don't really get that much of a reflection. If you go out and you take a photograph of a boat, or if you go out and you paint it on location, sometimes you just add a little bit of reflection that's not there just because the eye expects to see it. So many times I've done a painting from a photograph that just looks weird. It just, as a photograph you comprehend it, but as a painting it's messed up. So that's where the artist's license comes in. You know, you can adjust it, you can really taper it to fit what you think looks good and not necessarily what real life had. Again, just blending this neutral shade across. If you are working with different colors, you're thinking dark, medium, light. So for instance, black, lavender, white. Just three different, rule of three different shades, and within that you've got your highlights and you've got your splashing of other colors and you've got your reflection of your boat. But really, if you ever get fed up or you think you've made it too busy, I think the best technique I like is to change your viewpoint. So I either take a photograph, walk away, turn the painting upside down, or just walk away, have a break. Your eyes get too used to looking at something when you've really been looking at it for a long time. And the best thing you can do, so you don't overwork it, is just look at it from a different angle or step away. And when you come back to it, you will see that you need more light, or you need more dark, or you need more neutral shades. For instance, I've come back and realized that this boat had nothing on it. It had no tackle, it had no rigging. Well, it had some rigging, but it didn't have any of the deck had no equipment on it. So rather than going into too much detail, I'm just adding some neutral browns. So we've got our black, we've got our white, and now we've got this sort of mid-tone brown. Again, it just adds pop. A bit of highlight, a bit of contrast, a bit of shape, but nothing too detailed, because again, we're just giving you this little hint. There's a boat here. It has these items on top of it. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. As you can tell, I'm very new to this sort of recording and videoing. I will get better. I will improve, especially with help from you all. And thank you very much. I'm having lots of fun, and I'll definitely do more videos.